I know that you just can't put niggas on the floor with one another and they're going to win. Most of the way that niggas talk about basketball is dumb. Instead of us talking about skills, we end up talking about situations that put people in positions to win a championship instead of the actual skill set of what a player does or does not possess. That Karl Malone and John Stockton, I guess, can't be in these convos because they have zero. Barkley cannot be in these convos because he has zero. Patrick Ewing, all them niggas in the 90s were losers.
I got TJ Ford jersey. I was getting, if I had a good game, if a nigga played well on the court with me, I got the jersey. So I have over 500 signed jerseys.
Which then brings us to the bigger point, because I think a lot of people are going to hear this and misunderstand what both of us are saying. All right, so I want to make sure I reiterate this, because somebody asked in the chat, Nonchalant said, Low, with a $25 power chat, Low, why don't you blame the coaching for Giannis and Dame not meshing as well as you would like? Let me be clear. I have the capability to assess it accordingly. I know that you just can't put niggas on the floor with one another and they're going to win. That's the reason why I just don't turn around and just think that anybody could have three-peated with Shaq, because there's certain aspects that go along with it. But I want to be clear, and this even goes for Gil as well, I'm assuming. A lot of shit we talking about isn't necessarily how we think. It's about what other people are trying to outline. And like I said in the beginning, and now that there's more people here, let me be very, very clear. I don't believe it. Y'all make fun of me when KD's like, oh, he had you silent when you just said, I agree. There was nothing to argue about because I do agree. Most of the way that niggas talk about basketball is dumb. That shit is dumb. It's fucking dumb. Everybody want to sit here and water down conversations because they don't take the time out to actually watch what's going on the floor. It's dumb. Instead of us talking about skills, we end up talking about situations that put people in positions to win a championship instead of the actual skill set of what a player does or does not possess. But I've learned a long time ago as well, if you all want to hold the standard and however you want to talk about it, fine. And y'all know me, the only thing I ask for is consistency. And that's the reason why that ring talk shit gets thrown out the window. That's why I'll come up here and I'll stand on 10 toes and tell you niggas that Karl Malone and John Stockton, I guess, can't be in these convos because they have zero. Barkley cannot be in these convos because he has zero. Patrick Ewing, all them niggas in the 90s were losers. And don't tell me it was because of MJ, because Hakeem was able to squeeze in not one, but two on you niggas. If we're gonna sit here and talk about ring culture and how you gotta be the best player on it, and if you ain't win a certain amount of rings, or even if you did, you're not the best player, you gotta be the first option, fine. I guess that means Scottie Pippen with 6 is like the 10th best small forward, because I can name either a small forward with more rings or a small forward with at least one ring who was the best player easily. If we're gonna play this, and I'm not sitting here talking about small Devin George who has no. I'm talking about players whose resumes are damn near on par with Scottie Pippen's in many regards, and yet they still should be ahead of Scotty. Kawhi should be ahead of Scotty.
Yes.
Elgin Baylor should be ahead of Scotty.
I think he is.
Rick Barry has one championship but was the best player on that championship team, so he should be ahead of Scotty.
He is.
Dr. J should be ahead of Scotty.
He is.
Larry Bird, KD, LeBron James should be ahead of Scotty.
They are.
So that's 8.
Okay.
For whatever reason, y'all don't want to talk about Hondo. He got 8. He's 8-0. He got a Finals MVP. Oh, that nigga should be ahead of Scotty.
Oh, they got Rick Barry 38. My bad.
So if we're gonna talk about this weird way, Tatum should be ahead of Scotty. That's the ninth right there. I forgot.
They got Kawhi behind Scotty, but he's gonna finish in front.
So Scottie Pippen at this point should be 10 based off of this logic of ring culture. Never the best player on this team, never won an MVP. Only one year where he got real MVP considerations when Jordan wasn't there. That's it. But I just named you nine players who have a championship while being the best player on the team outside of Elgin, and Elgin just a better player, period.
And that, you know what, Lo, listen. Here's what I want to ask somebody in the chat, just so you can see the difference.
Oh, I forgot about Tatum didn't win Finals MVP, so then they might throw that weird dumbass shit.
No, actually that's not rated that high. What is harder to get, a ring as an NBA player or win the MVP as an NBA player? Now, when the people who are putting the MVP, now think about if they're gonna vote on your career as analysts, you gotta think it's all mathematics, right? A ring is you versus 449 other players are going for that ring, that MVP, that title, right? Ring, 30 teams. When you get there, or when you get to the playoff, it's 16, right? So the number is easier because 17 of you at the end of the year will be champions. So that means you go by the hardest to the easiest. So winning MVP, scoring title, first team, second team, because that's top 10 players, defensive player of the year. Those are the things that are important. So if you take this top 75 list, and I don't know why people always try to remove a list because you don't like the way it looks. Instead of just saying, I don't like the way it looks, look at it and then try to figure out why it's that way. So if you remove rings, since that's embedded in your brains, and then just go off of the accolades, it makes sense. If we say, hey, if I don't even say the name and I said, hey, you tell me which one is better. Yeah, I'm gonna do it right now. Which one sounds like a better career? All right, we got option one. This option one was an 11-time All-Star, 3-time Steals champ, 2 times All-Star MVP, Rookie of the Year, 4 scoring titles, 7 times All-NBA. Okay, we got that. Now the second person is 7 All-Stars, 6-time All-Defense, 7 All-NBAs, Steals champ, All-Star MVP. Which one has a better career? Number 1 and number 2. Option 1.
Should be.
Right? You got the 4 scoring titles, you got an MVP.
Yeah, it should be.
Now, you would think if I said, okay, with option 2, we're going to give you 6 rings, it will push you in front of option 1. But the rings don't defeat the person's scoring titles and all that. So Scottie Pippen is 32, Allen Iverson's 31 when you take away the rings. So now,
what list are you looking at? What list is this?
The top 75 ESPN list.
Oh.
So now if I go, I'm going to Basketball Reference. Then if I go to the next person who's in front of Scottie Pippen, and I say, okay, this guy has 12 All-Stars, 6-time Steals champ, 9-time All-Defense. That means 1 less than Scottie Pippen's biggest achievement. All-Star MVP, Rookie of the Year, and then 11 times All-NBA. So he has 4 more All-NBAs and then 5 more All-Stars. And then he's a 5-time Steals champ. Chris Paul. Now you see why he's in front of him on this list. His body of work is bigger than Scottie Pippen's. So that's what I did. I wanted to actually, I talked to some of the media and say, really, how can you say this person's here, this person? How did Clay get put out, this and this? And then they saw, you didn't hear this from me, because I want to know, what is the criteria of how you guys are voting? And then they have the criteria, and then they all vote separately.
You know what was funny? Draymond being upset at you, even though y'all both basically saying the same thing, which is kind of odd, but Draymond being upset is kind of hilarious.
Because he's listening to us talk about it, not understanding is we're players. We're trying to, we want to know why Clay ain't in there. We all yo, Clay, Dwight, what the f*** are y'all talking about, right? We got our own list of the players that should have been in there, and they not.